Hello and welcome to Martin's Money Mutterings. This week's headlines: the pound's as strong as it's ever been, so how you can buy in the US and save a fortune. Next, cheap booze. Shall I say it again? Cheap booze. Don't need to say much more, do I really? £100 cash in time to Christmas, how to grab that £100 without having to do very much, 5-minute phone call. Car insurance, now's the moment to cut the cost of your car insurance. £25 Eurostar, credit crunch, new top savings accounts and a lot more. This is Martin's Money Mutterings. Self-evidently, I'm Martin. What's it all about? Easy. Each week from the website, I send an email to 1.5 million people with about 40 ways to save money. And this is an audio or video commentary to go with it. But, don't just watch or listen. As I say every week, you need to have the email in front of you. If you don't, go to moneysavingexpert.com/latest tip for all the details. The big one this week: the pound is at its strongest against the dollar for nearly 25 years. And that means if you buy from US websites or you go to the US and you're buying things there, you can save a fortune because it's dirt cheap for us. Remember, the US is one of the biggest economies in the world with huge bulk buying power and an amazingly competitive marketplace. Now that's already driven prices down. When you add in the fact that we here in Britain have huge currency advantages right now over the US, it means things are dirt cheap. But it's not quite as simple as you think. Obviously, if you're going to go over there and buy yourself, you've got to pay for your flights and your accommodation, and that takes a cut out of your savings. But if you're ordering from US websites, and yes, there are websites in the US that will deliver to the UK, you'll have to pay for delivery, but you'll also need to pay customs duty and VAT on top. And it depends what the product is to see how much the customs duty is. So this is my quick rule of thumb to whether you should be buying your stuff in the US. First of all, find the cheapest price here. It's a no-brainer, is it, really? Unless you actually have the benchmark to compare against, then there's no point in doing it. So whatever you want to buy, go to an online shopping robot, you know what they are: Price Runner, Kelku, Deal Time, that's changed its name to shopping.com these days. That's me being out of date, a year out of date. Price Runner, Kelku or shopping.com. Put your details in and find roughly the cheapest price. Now go to your US website, and there's a whole list of the ones that will work in the article, those that will deliver to the UK, and see what the price is there. But this is the important bit. As my rough rule of thumb, add 30% to the US price. And that will roughly incorporate the customs duty, the delivery and the VAT charge. If it's still cheaper, then it's worth spending some time investigating what the real cost will be. If it's not cheaper when you've added 30%, forget it. It's just not worth it. There's no point. Move on. This article really talks you into the nitty-gritty. You'll have read in the papers recently all this nonsense about go to the US, buy from the US, you'll save a fortune. Well, actually, sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. While the currency is very strong, there are lots of things stopping you importing goods personally that add to your costs, and you need to balance it and weigh it out. But that's all done for you in the article. Right, next on my list, I said cheap booze. I mean cheap booze. It's simple. Lots of people, I wonder why, what time of year is it? Oh, it's nearly Christmas. They want you to come in and buy booze from them because then you'll buy other stuff. Tesco, 25% off, online and in store, all its wine. Morrison's 33% off, and Thresher, never want to miss out on discount vouchers, is giving 40% off booze. Great time to stock up right now in time for Christmas celebrations and party. Simple as that. More details on the tip note in the site. What else? £100 cash for Christmas. Now you may say, tenuous link, Mr. Lewis, on what I'm about to talk about, but it's quite important. Mortgage exit fees. This is the easiest reclaim possible. It's simple. It involves you doing this. Hello? Oh yes, we'll give you your money back. That's it. Well, maybe a little bit more than that, but you get the point. Anybody who has remortgaged, which means moving to a better mortgage deal, or got a new or paid off their old mortgage in the last 6 years is eligible to get money back on their mortgage exit fee. It works a bit like this. When you signed up for the mortgage, in your contract it would have said something like, when you leave us, for our administrative costs, you need to give us 50 or 60 quid as a mortgage exit administration fee for closing down the account. Well, that's fine. Not too much of a problem, it's in the contract. But then what they all started to do is they all started to need to make more money because they artificially lowered their interest rate and tried to get the money back by charging other high fees. And they put up their mortgage exit fees. So suddenly, although it said in your contract, it'll cost you 50 quid, 3 or 4 years later when you did leave, it cost you £200. But The regulator, the FSA, earlier this year, in about January, said, hold on, that's just not on, you can't do that. If it said 50 quid in the contract, well, you can add a bit on for inflation. You cannot vary it willy-nilly. We don't care whether it says in your contract you can vary it willy-nilly. You can't do it. So stop. And they have to give you your money back. Simple as that. You pick up your phone, you call them up and you say, tell me what it said in my contract. About 50 quid. Tell me what it said you actually charged me. About 200 quid. Pay me back the difference. That's it. So if you've moved mortgage in the last 6 years, every time, so if you've done it 3 times, it's 3 different phone calls. You call your old lender, you ask for your money back. This is so quick. Most people get the money within 2 or 3 weeks. That's why I'm saying in time for Christmas. You need a bit of extra cash in time for Christmas. Pick up the phone to your old mortgage company and get the money they overcharged you back. Simple as that. See, tenuous link, but you get the point. Right, next on my list, car insurance. Now, it's a really interesting one because there's a bit of psychology here. The last thing anybody really does in the end of November and December is look at their car insurance. And that means there's less demand for new car insurance. And when there's less demand, prices go down. So the best time of the year to get new car insurance is the time of the year that nobody gets new car insurance. Now is the moment. Now, it's quite interesting because some of you will be sitting out there going, hold on a second, Martin. Hold on there, governor, because my renewal is not until next June. So you might think you're the money-saving king, but you don't know what you're talking about. Well, actually, I do. Because you don't have to wait until renewal to move your car insurance policy. If you haven't claimed this year, the vast majority of insurers will simply allow you to cancel the policy and give you a pro rata refund, which means you can still ditch, switch and save if you can find it cheaper. Now, I've done a lot of work over the last few weeks, really finessing and honing my cheapest car insurance article. As you know, I've always been a fan of the comparison sites, the websites, screen scrapers where you go in, put in your details, they zip your details across the web, bring back to find you the cheapest price. But now there's been a proliferation of those. There are lots of them. Which one should you use? Well, the answer is none of them individually cover enough of the market. They all cover different sections. So what we've done some work on, and it is actually a very big job, is doing some mapping of who covers what. And then if you combine the different comparison services, what the quickest route to the widest number of searches is. So we've got the 6 comparison services. We've started with one. We've then all the brokers and insurers that it covers, we've taken out of the list and then seen which next price comparison service gives you the most number of extra insurers and brokers. And you go down the list to get you the perfect search. The more time you spend, the better the search. But whenever you stop, you can rest assured if you follow my list, you've covered as much of the market as you possibly can in that period of time. Simple as that. Right, a few quick ones to finish. Eurostar, great deal at the moment. If you've got Tesco Club Card vouchers, trade them in for Tesco Club Card deals, and you can get a Eurostar ticket for just £25 of Tesco Club Card deal vouchers. That's £25 worth of point spending in store. Now suddenly, bish, you can go on the Eurostar. Alternatively, there's some good 2-for-1s available as well. Whole little note on how to cut the cost if you want to go to France, which of course, remember, with the new St Pancras station open, it's even quicker. Zip. It's almost as quick as I talk. Well, maybe not that quick. Right, next on the list, credit crunch. A lot of people been asking about this recently. What is the impact on you of the credit crunch? Well, if you've got a good credit score, not very much. If you've got a bad credit score, you've probably got a secured loan or some horrible product like that, and I'm afraid your rate is going to jump very, very rapidly and you need to sort all your finances out. Go and read my problem debt article. But it's the people in the middle who are going to find it quite interesting. There are 2 possible things that are going to happen. The first is you're going to not be as successful at applying for the cheap rate cards as you used to be. You're going to get more rejections. Alternatively, you will be successful, but whereas in the past you would have got a credit limit of £5,000 or £6,000, now your credit limit will just be £2,000 or £3,000. So if you're trying to move 5 or 6 grand worth of debt across to a new credit card, for example, you'll now need 2 cards to do it. And this is where it all gets quite difficult, because if you need 2 cards to move that much debt, that's 2 extra searches on your credit file, and that hits your credit score in itself, meaning it's going to get even more difficult the next time. So I've been thinking about this, and there are 2 main strategies you need to adopt to protect yourself for the credit crunch. Strategy number 1 is changing the nature of the balance transfer deals that you apply for. Now, a balance transfer is when you get a new card that pays off the debts on the old card for you, so you owe the new card the money, hopefully at a cheaper interest rate. We all know about credit card tarting, 0% cards, which gives you the 0% rate for as long as you need it. But what I suggest, unless you have a very good credit score, is you seriously think about going for long-term balance transfer deals. Now, this could be a life of balance deal, where when you shift the debt, the cheap rate lasts until all the debt you've moved is repaid. You still get the cheap rate, best of those being the Citibank card at the moment at 5.9% life of balance. Alternatively, if you can pay it off a bit more quickly, there's now a new type of card out there that give you long-term low rates. So Goldfish, 3.9% for 3 years. Plus you have to pay a 3% fee, sadly, but that's still the cheapest debt you're going to get on one card. Way cheaper than any type of loan over 3 years. So if you do that, you shift your debt there, and now you know, whatever happens to my credit score, whatever happens in the credit crunch, I have guaranteed cheap debt on that for 3 years, and I can pay it off in that time, and I'm sorted. That's the first strategy. The second strategy is the credit card shuffle. Now, regulars will know what that means. This is my technique for cutting the cost of your existing debts without getting new credit, without applying for new credit cards. In effect, what it does is more efficiently uses your existing credit, it therefore doesn't touch your credit score. It's quite detailed how to do this. It's simple to do, but you need to read the article. Effectively, what you're doing is you're going to existing credit card companies, those that you haven't gone up to the credit limit with, and you're saying, if I've got debts on other cards, will you allow me to move them to you more cheaply? So you're doing a balance transfer, but not to a new card. Many cards out there offer cheap balance transfer deals for existing customers. They just don't tell you about it. Classic example is Barclaycard. Most existing Barclaycard customers will be allowed to move debt to it at 6.9% life of balance. Again, that means when you move the debt, the 6.9% rate lasts until all the debt you've moved is repaid. That's almost as cheap as the cheapest new customer offer. So the credit card shuffle is all about utilising those offers in the most efficient way. I'm nearly there because I've been talking on Alliance and Leicester's new saving account pays 6.5%, is a market leader, but don't touch it. Part of that rate's a bonus rate. Also, if you withdraw money, you will lose interest on the month that you withdraw money. So you withdraw £5 on 100 grand and you don't get paid any interest on the £100,000 for that month. The circumstances in which this actually beats ICICI at 6.41%, which is a clean account with no tricks, is minimal. I just really wouldn't bother unless very specific circumstances. And finally, thank you to everyone who recommended this email last week to their friends and family. We've raised over £8,000 for children in need by doing so. Really good. More than 16,000 new money savers come on board, ready for the revolution to take on corporate Britain. The more money savers, the more collective consumer power we've got. Fantastic. Thank you. That's it. I hope you save some money. Bye.